Downtown Iowa Hill, or at least what's remaining of it, which is very little. Stevens Trail. The trail was originally established as a toll road in 1859 by Truman Allen Stevens. The trail went down to the bottom of the American River and back up the other side to Colfax via bridge. That is no longer in existence. It says this was in a commercial operation until the existing road was built at the end of the last century. The trail was a tremendous success as the population of Iowa Hill had swelled to 10,000 at the height of the gold rush. Let me add something else, folks. Later on I'll talk about it when we get to Mineral Bar. There is a little more to Stevens Trail. There's a 7-mile portion you can hike along the river. What? What's that?
The beginning of the Stevens Trail.
Oh, right here? Yeah. That's the beginning of the Stevens Trail. It was a toll road. And that way people could, this was a more feasible way to take supplies up from what I've read. In 1969, a boy, he was a scout, Eric Keel, had recharted this as a scouting project and had found it because it was forgotten. But the toll road was basically for miners. Wagons were charged more, miners by themselves or just pioneers were charged 50 cents. It was pretty minimal. This is Stevens Trail, 3.7 miles to the North Fork. Takes you down into the Forest Hill Divide. A little tire swing, dream come true. Some teepees
I can't.
on the Stevens Trail.
That.
Oh yeah, don't turn it on, there's a generator. No EMF gauze here, right? Only store in town.
Yeah.
Some old minecart tracks with a little keg, and look, there's horseshoe pits there. They love horseshoes. Used to have billiards and other activities, bowling alleys. Wow. This was a tent camp, just so everybody is aware. And overnight, it grew to 1,600 people around 1853. They said it had one tent, 3 log cabins, and then eventually the cemetery formed at Banjo Hill because, like I said, mining was dangerous. Over here, there's a cemetery we'll be walking to, presently the Schwab House. What are these? Iowa City, or Iowa Hill, had a theater, a school, a Methodist and Catholic church, 3 stores, a brewery, a soda factory, 2 hardware, and a tin store, butcher shop, saloon, Masonic and IOF lodge, bowling alleys, billiard halls, clothing store, 5 dry goods stores, 3 large grocery stores, 4 hotels, gambling hall, fire hall, 2 cemeteries, actually 3, and a bridge built in 1928 to accommodate the miners and pioneers who crossed the American River. The Stevens Trail charged 40 cents for each stock animal, 50 cents for those traveling by horse, 25 cents for walkers. And the trail went miles above where the Iowa Hill Road crosses the river. The grade was easy to move equipment on and drop over 1,100 feet from top to bottom. It was used heavily in the 1800s, and then it disappeared only to be found later again by a scout, as I was telling you guys earlier. They said the earliest marker was from 1856. The cemetery is across from the store disappeared. It said the pioneers that were here planted orchards, vineyards, and searched for gold by washing away on the hillsides into the river, which is placer gold. They said that their life was full of culture, hardship, love, excitement. People were buried in Banjo Hill, eventually became eternally one with the mountain. And sometimes some people have thought of it as curse. Where this cabin is where the old cemetery is. The original old Iowa cemetery is presently here. To the left is the fire department. There's 12 graves, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Schwab House. The Schwab House was built and then the graves were bulldozed to make room for the home. There used to be a giant marble table. It's long gone. They actually pushed it into Indian Canyon, and it's a mass burial mound, and then some graves were relocated to the cemetery. Just another tidbit. Most of the miners here were from Iowa. They said 100,000 in gold a week, 20 million by 1880. You can see that fire struck the area. For example, there's hardly any brush or trees, and everything looks cindered or burnt that's remaining or collapsed. Look at this metal thing. What is that? This is downtown. There used to be over 150 houses here. Wow, that's an iron cap of some kind.
1862 and 1920.
I think I read this earlier, something similar. It says Iowa Hill, gold discovered here in 1853 and 1856, weekly production estimated at 100,000. Total value produced by 1880 placed at $20 million. Town was destroyed by fire 1857, and in 1862 when they rebuilt, same thing. Each time it was rebuilt, more substantial buildings were lost. Last big fire in 1920 destroyed most of the town. This is what's left, the Wells Fargo vault, the old fire department or fire wagon house, and then you have a few remnants here and there, like that cabin that you see is not as old as it looks. It came to be later, but they bulldozed the graves over the cliff almost, which is kind of disrespectful. And he's buried at the cemetery now, so, you know, I guess karma's a bitch. A lot of hydraulic mining was done, but I've seen somebody put a video on YouTube. They said there's, if you go below the town, halfway down to the canyon, the American River, there's actually a decent mine to explore. These mines were deep. The ones that didn't have tunnels were hydraulic mining operations, which they use these giant jets or water, they're like water hoses, high powered, that would flush the placer gold into a sluice to be separated. And today they're still finding gold along the banks of the American River. We're going to try some gold hunting in a little bit, probably about a half hour before it gets dark. And try our hand. This is where the old cemetery sat, and it's completely gone, guys. Completely gone. Take some readings at this location. We'll take some EVPs. We'll see if we get anything. Smoke is moving in from the local fire. It's about all that remains of the town. The store, a few sites. Some remnants of the past, such as this old ore cart. It's a shame. Wish there was more remaining. It's not the oldest fire engine. They used to use wagons back in the day. However, this engine's fairly old. And we'll try to get a few photos. I love old fire engines. It's a relic of the past, should be appreciated. Wow. Pretty cool, man. This is the old school, but it says, it's not that old, but it also says community church. I guess they're using it as a community building.